Hey guys, how you doing? So, most of you have probably seen I got the frame back finally. Normally it doesn't take this long, but prismatic powders is super backed up, and where it normally takes a few days to get the powder in, it actually took a full 2 weeks. So, got it back today, looks great. So we're ready to do this. Let's do this, let's build this 250R. I'm going to get into the guts of it probably this weekend, but you know, just doing some prep work. Figured we'll do the seat cover and get that out of the way. So let's get into it. So doing a seat cover is not difficult. It just, if you have the right tools, take your time, know what to look for. It's actually pretty easy. So the tools that I use now, I've already prepped this pan. It had you know, crappy seat cover on, a million rusted staples, so that's always fun to remove them all. But the two tools I use for that is just a small screwdriver, like a little from a micro kit, and just a small pair of pliers. And literally just spend the time, dig those staples up a little bit with the screwdriver. That's why it's a nice fine point, works really well. And then just pop them out with the little pliers. So you know, it's tedious, it's annoying, it sucks, but hopefully your staples aren't too rusted and breaking on you and stuff, because that just makes it more annoying. But so once the pan is prepped, I'm sure a lot of you have seen the gap between the seat and the gas tank of a 250R. And honestly, I hate it. Looks like crap. So what I do with all my pans is I actually heat them up. I basically, if you look on the back side here, you've got these ribs. So right below these two rubber grommets, I heat up this section, front and back, and just very slightly bend it up. Sorry, bend it down. Wrong way. I'm doing it backwards here. You bend it down. Now you don't want to go too far because you'll start to buckle the sides. They'll start to flare out. So you just keep heating it evenly, go on both sides, put a little bit of pressure on it, and you'll see where those sides start to buckle, and then you back off, and then just hold it in place, blow on it, whatever you want to do, let it cool down, hold it there. So I've already done this lower one, but I also do it right above the grommets as well. For me, I'd rather have that seat really pressed against the tank, because when you sit on it, it naturally wants to open that gap up, because the whole pan kind of flexes. So, you know, it's going to, over time, a lot of people say it's because they put the seat covers on too tight. Honestly, I think it's just probably from heat, from sitting on it. It flexes when you sit on it, so eventually it's just going to kind of bend it back. And you can usually tell if you look at a seat, you know, this part should be pretty straight. Most of them have just a slight curve in them. So, heat gun, another critical tool. And again, just start on it. Work it back and forth, get nice even heat. And the ribs in the backside here that are vertical, they're going to take a little bit more heat just because it's a thicker part of the plastic. So just slowly work it and try to get that heat even on both sides. And after you do it a few times, you know, you'll figure it out. Again, it's not difficult, but this just makes for a much better looking quad. You know, you won't have that big gap. It'll look great in pictures. So it's worth the little bit of extra time and effort to do it. And, you know, every heat gun is a little bit different as far as temperature. If you don't have a heat gun, I'm sure Harbor Freight sells them, Amazon. So I can feel that's already starting to get, that's pretty hot, it's getting soft. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of pressure. doesn't take much. And you can see, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see it here, but this had a slight bow to it. Now it looks pretty straight, if not just a hair down, which is good. So I'm gonna leave it right there. You can probably do this with the seat cover on. I've never tried it, just because I like to get even heat on both sides, but I'm sure you could probably do it. Just be careful, because you're going to heat up this side, the one side, a lot more. But it's worth a try. You know, it's if that gap is opening up a lot on you, give it a shot. All right, so seat installation. Need a few things here. I use spray adhesive. So I spray some on the back side of the foam, and then I spray some on the pan. You got to do both sides. Let it sit for 15-30 seconds. It'll tack up, and then you can put the foam on. I've done these without using this. Can't really say it's better one way or another. I don't feel any shifting or anything, so that step's probably optional. But yeah, it's just something I do. Air stapler, critical. Don't even bother trying this with a hand stapler. I've seen plenty of seats where they used a hand stapler. I'm sure you guys have seen them too. Staples are half out, all crooked. It just doesn't work. There's just not enough pressure with, even in pushing as hard as you can, it just can't send the staple through. So I think I picked this one up on Amazon. It was pretty cheap. I don't know, like 20, I want to say, I think it was between $20 and $30. If you don't want to spend the money, ask a buddy. I'm sure you'll find somebody with an air stapler. And for the compressor, I set this, you don't want to set it too high. Make sure you look at the manual, because they usually have a max PSI that they want to set it at. I think this is set at 65 right now. I usually stay between 60 and 70, never above 70. And then the last thing is good stainless steel staples. 3/16 in length is ideal, but Lowe's and Home Depot normally don't carry them. You'd have to order them, so I just use 1/4 inch. I've never had an issue with 1/4 inch. These are Arrow brand. Make sure you use stainless, because the other ones just rust out, and then when you try to remove it, swap the seat a few years from now, they're going to be cracking and breaking and everything else. All right, so first step here, obviously we have our seat cover. I use all Fourwerx seat covers. I love the customization options, quality. All my seats are still perfect condition. So yeah, definitely recommend Fourwerx. This foam is actually a NOS 8889 foam that I got in a part lot. So I'm going to use this, but I normally use Fourwerx foams, either Fourwerx or Seat. Most people don't know that Fourwerx sells foams because they don't have them on their website, but they do. So Seat, I've tried the firm ones, hated it. I've never tried the soft. I go medium. All mine are medium. So if you're going with Seat, order a medium. You're going to hate the hard. If you go with Fourwerx, they only have one density, and it's basically the equivalent of a medium seat. So this OEM is probably between yeah, it feels like a medium seat. It might be just a tad stiffer, but I think this will be fine. So we're going to start with this. Get our spray adhesive out. Careful when you're doing this, because the overspray makes everything super sticky. And you don't need a ton of it. I just kind of get it on the inside and get some up on the front. And then we're going to do the same with the foam. You need this on both surfaces, and especially if the foam kind of sucks it up. So if you don't have any on the foam and just the pan, I've tried that, it doesn't work. So just kind of get a nice even coating on there. And this stuff, this is Gorilla Glue brand, it doesn't matter what brand. It'll tack up pretty quick. Yeah, tack it up. So then we're just going to set this in the pan. Start from one direction, make sure it's even, and then it pretty much falls into place. And then we'll just push down our sides. And also this is I always use 88, 89 height foams. I just find them more comfortable. It's almost like a couch with the medium density. And everybody that sits on my bikes are like, oh, that's comfy. So as far as the pan, it doesn't matter which year. In fact, this is an 86, 87. And the way to tell is the 8687 has the 4 bolts up front here, but the 8889 has plastic brackets with a C cut out to lock into the mounts. It doesn't matter which one you use, you know, whatever you find that's in good shape. It's pretty rare that you find one with all the bolts intact. In fact, this is the first one I've had that has all of them intact. But if you're missing one or two, it's not a big deal. Ideally, I'd like to have at least the end ones and one middle. And in fact, the 8889 seat has 4, so you can do without a couple. But again, don't worry about the year of the pan. It doesn't matter. The pan is all the same except for the mounts. All right. So now that we have that, we're going to lay on our seat cover. So get that seated, bring it down around the sides, pull it up over the front, kind of get it lined up. And if you have writing on the sides, if you get a Fourwerx, the one thing you got to watch out for is making sure that you don't pull it too tight in one spot. And you end up with a wave in your name or your graphic, whatever it is. So once you get it lined up, then I flip it over. And I always start with the back and work forward. So, you know, get that seated where you're, and you can kind of use the seam. So basically what I try to do is, it's the seam between the two pieces, the under flap and then the sides. I try to keep that seam just on the inside of the pan. And then if you follow that and keep that nice and even, then the rest of your seat should work out well. Once in a while, you will get some ripples, and I usually find them to be up in this area, up towards the top. If they're very minor, I wouldn't worry about it. Once it's out in the sun, this will actually shrink up a little bit, and I've had ripples, a couple ripples in mine, and a couple days out in the sun, and they're gone. So don't be too concerned about it, but you do want to get it nice and snug. So what I do is I start by tacking it. Don't go nuts with the stapler. In fact, you don't need a staple. They don't need to be right next to each other in a line. It's just overkill. So we start in the back, tack one in the middle, and then we get our corner set. Tack one in one corner, the other corner, and then we can start working our sides. So like I said, just kind of, as you start that one side, keep that seam, and I just start out maybe every 6 inches, and then I'll fill in later, just in case I need to adjust, because I've had times where I've had to pull staples because I didn't like how it came out, and if you're stapling the crap out of it, then that's just more time you're going to spend. So just keep that seam. So I go up to the curve in the seat, and then I'll switch to the other side. And you can see how easy these staples go in, and these are going in all the way. They're not sticking out at all. You're not going to have any issues with them pulling out. If you do, you're probably doing something wrong. And try to keep your staples in a good, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch from the edge. And if you can, just kind of angle them down a little bit, especially if you're using that 1/4 inch staple, because they are a little bit longer. You don't want to be able to push in on the foam and feel that staple. All right, so now once we get up in here, you're going to have extra foam up in this area. So you're going to have to pull that cover in a little bit tighter, and you may not, just kind of feel it out. So and then you'll start to get the ripples in here because you're now overlaying. Leave those alone. We'll flatten those out later. So we get this spot in. And I do a lot of back and forth flipping, I try to work it out evenly throughout the process. It's just what I found works best for me. Don't shoot your finger. Not fun. I haven't done it, but all right. you know, Fourwerx has the service. You can send your pan in, and they'll do it for you. That's up to you. If you don't have the tools, if you're not a DIYer as much, then feel free to do that. I pretty much do everything myself, and I like to learn. So you screw it up, pull the staples, start over. You know, worst case scenario. It's not like the end of the world here. So when you get to the front, just kind of line it up, hold it, get it to where you want it. All right, so we've got, see, I can see a little bit of slack in this area. The rear is good. But then this is the area in the curve where sometimes you get some looseness. You can see that, how much that's moving? No good. So, where you have your trusty, pull these out. You don't have to pull them all the way out, because the front actually felt pretty good. You just have to pull these two center ones out. Now, let's see. Again, you want to try to keep, don't just yank it out one side, because you're going to lose your alignment. It's going to be offset. So just kind of see where you need it. Now I'm actually pulling past where the seam is on the seat, just so I can get that nice and snug. And we'll do the other side. See where we're at. Actually, probably pull this one a little bit tighter. But I'm going to do it on this side because I can see how much I have here and I don't have as much over here. Pull that. Good. Pull this one a little tighter. This one. This is why you don't want to go down to the staples in the beginning. This is one of those things that actually works well and allows you to fix it. Alright, so that's pretty good. Now I can go back and fill in staples, and honestly you only need one every 2 inches, if that. And this isn't just for a 250R. I do the exact same process with my 450R. So any quad, any seat cover, it's the same. Like I said, after you do 1 or 2 of them, it's pretty easy. I can do one of these start to finish, minus pulling the staples, in about less than 10 minutes. So when I get up to here, when you have these overlaps, they're going to curl over. I just take one side, doesn't matter which side you do it, and fold it over. So snug it up, take the slack out, fold it over, and pin it. Do the other side. Back and forth, keep it even. And then the same thing up in front here, you're going to have a little bit of overlap on one side or the other, on both sides. So just do the same thing. Just fold that over. That's it. Not a million staples. Won't take me too long if I ever had to fix it or I want to change it. Back is clean, sides are straight, nice and tight, and it should fit great on the tank. So that's installing a seat cover. Not very hard, huh? So don't be afraid to give it a shot. Just make sure, the most important tool is that air stapler, because the hand stapler just won't cut it. Alright guys, so we're gonna get rocking with this build. It's gonna move fast because I need to tear down my race bike. So I need to get this practice bike up and running. It's also my backup bike. And then I've got some changes going to the race R. So we're going to be moving along pretty quick and posting videos a lot. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I'll post on Instagram and Facebook when there's a new video uploaded, and we'll have some fun. All right, guys. See ya.